Hello and welcome to the channel. In this video, we will understand all the Maven scopes in detail, and I will also include the examples wherever possible. So first of all, we use the dependency scope to control the availability of a particular dependency during the Maven lifecycle, and these are the dependency scopes which we can use for any dependency in a Maven project. So compile, provided, runtime, test, system and import, these are the scopes which we can use. Let's now discuss these one by one. So the first scope is the compile scope. Let's discuss about this. So this is a default scope, which means if we do not specify any scope for a particular dependency in the Maven project, then it will be considered as the compile scope. So let me explain you through one example. So I will open the IntelliJ IDE, and I have this particular Maven project in which we have defined one dependency and we have not specified any scope here. So the scope for this particular dependency will be considered as compile. Alternatively, if we explicitly specify, so if we specify the scope for this dependency as compile, so the behavior of this dependency will be same compared to when we had not defined any scope here. So if we define the scope as compile, or if we do not specify any scope here, the behavior will be same. So this is a default scope. The next thing is related to the class paths. So the dependency with the compile scope will be available for all the class paths. So right now we are considering the class paths related to the compile class path, run class path and the test class path. So if the dependency is with the compile scope, then the code of the dependency will be available for the application source code. So it means the dependency will be available while we will be compiling the application source code, and it will also be available when we are running the application or we are deploying the application. And similarly, the particular dependency will be available while we are compiling the test code or we are executing the test files. So we would be able to use the code of that dependency for all these three scenarios without any issue. Now the next thing is related to the transitivity of the dependency. So the dependency with the compile scope will be transitively available. So which means the particular dependency will be automatically propagated to the downstream project. So let me explain you through the example again. So if I open the IntelliJ, so let's say this particular project, if we build this particular project and make a jar file out of that, then if we want to use that jar file into some other project, then this particular dependency which has the compile scope will be automatically fetched by the Maven, because this particular dependency is transitively available. So this is the meaning of transitively available. So for the transitivity, you can follow one thumb rule, that if a particular dependency is present in the packaged file I mean the var, jar or ar file. So if a particular dependency is included in that particular packaged file, then that dependency will be transitively available to the downstream projects. So the next dependency scope is the provided scope. So we use this scope for a dependency when that particular dependency will be provided by the JDK itself or by the web container or the application container at the runtime, which means the dependency will be provided by the environment itself in which the application is launched. So this is the one scenario where we can use this provided scope. The another scenario can be when we do not require that dependency at the runtime at all. The example for this scenario would be a Lombok dependency. Let me show you that. So this is the dependency. For those who don't know about Lombok, so this is a dependency using which we can use some annotations on the Java classes, and our IDE let's say the IntelliJ IDEA or Eclipse or any other IDE, will create the source code for us at the compilation time, and that's why this particular dependency is not required at the runtime at all. So we can use this particular scope provided so that this particular dependency will not be added in the packaged file like the jar, var or ar, because the use of this particular dependency is till the compilation only. The next is the availability for the class path. So the dependency with the provided scope are available when we are compiling our source code and when we are executing our test cases, or we are compiling the test cases, then this particular dependency will be available, but the dependency will not be available for the runtime class path. The next thing is, so whenever we are building our application and we are creating the packaged file, so the dependency will not be added in the packaged file, and because of that reason this is transitively not available. So the dependency will not be available to the downstream projects. Let's say some other project is using our project's packaged file, let's say jar. So this particular dependency which is defined as provided, so that dependency will not be fetched by Maven transitively in the other project. So we can say that the provided scope dependency is not transitive. So I have explained the scenario where we do not require the dependency at all at the runtime. The first scenario was when the dependency will be provided by the application container or the web container at the runtime. So the servlet API is one of the example for that scenario. So let's say we are building a web application and we will be deploying that to the web container at last. Then we do not require to add this dependency into the var file or the jar file, and we can use this scope provided so that it will not be added in the packaged file, and this particular servlet API, this dependency will be provided by the web container itself. So the next scope is the runtime scope. The dependencies with this scope will be available at the runtime and the test phase, which means these type of dependencies will be available when we run our application and when we execute our test cases. And these dependencies will not be available at the compile time. So we should define the runtime scope for those dependencies which we need at the runtime and we do not need at the compilation time. So for example, if our service is communicating to MySQL database, so we would require the MySQL connector dependency. Let me show you that by example. So if I open the IntelliJ, so this will be the dependency which we would require if we are using the MySQL database in our service. But this dependency will be required at the runtime, not at the compilation time, because using this dependency, we will make the connection with the database itself, and which will be required at the runtime only, and at the compilation time we will not, the application will not create any connection to the database, so this dependency will not be required. So that's why we can use the runtime scope for this particular type of dependency. And because of the runtime scope, this particular dependency or any of the class of this dependency will not be available at the compilation time. Let me show you that by an example. So if I open up this particular dependency in this external libraries, so if I open that, then if I look for this, so this is the dependency. If I expand this and if I open one random class, so let's say this server controller is there, and if I want to access this in the test class as well as in the main application class, so in this learn Spring Boot application which I have defined here, so if I open this and if I just uncomment this particular code, so using this code I am trying to create one object of this server controller class which is inside this com.mysql.cj.admin which I had just shown. So you can see this is giving the compilation error because the IntelliJ IDE is trying to compile the code, and it is not able to discover this particular class. It is not able to access that class because the scope is runtime and it is not available to be used at the compilation. Let's now use this particular same class in the test class itself. So if I uncomment this here, so as you can see, this is not giving any error, so that's why it is available for the test classes but not available for the compilation or to be used in the main source classes. Let's now remove this particular scope. So if I comment this and if I refresh this, so now the scope is compile, which is a default scope. So if I open this application again, so as you can see, the error is gone and this particular class is discoverable at the compilation time. So this is how you can use the runtime scope. Now the next is the transitivity. Because the dependency will be included in the final packaging of the application, so this dependency will be transitively available so that the downstream projects can fetch this particular dependency and can use at the runtime. So the next scope is the test scope. So this scope indicates that the dependency is not required for the normal use of the application and the dependency is available for the test compilation and the test execution phases. So when using this particular scope for a dependency, the dependency will not be available while compiling the application as well as while running the application. And the most suitable and the perfect example for this would be the test libraries like the JUnit or Mockito. So other than this scenario, we can use this particular scope for the non-test dependencies also, where we have used in the test files only but not in the application classes. Like we have used in the src test java but not in the src main java. So for example, we have written some test cases and we need some test data to be populated for to create some test, and we have used some apache commons io library. So let's suppose that that we have not used in our main source classes. For those scenarios as well, we can use this particular scope. And now let's see the example for the JUnit one. So if I open the IntelliJ, this is how you can specify the scope test so that it will be available for the test cases and the compiling the test and the running the test. It will not be available for the compilation and runtime. So it will not be included in the final jar or the final packaging of the application. So that's why it will not be a transitive in nature. So whenever a downstream project will be using our project as a dependency, so this particular dependency will not be fetched by Maven transitively. So the next scope is the system scope. This scope is similar to the provided scope, but in case of provided scope, the dependency was provided by the JDK or by the web container or the application container. But here in the system scope, the dependency is not provided by any web or application container. Also, it is not even downloaded from any Maven repository. Instead of that, we manually copy and paste the dependency jar file to a subdirectory in our own project, and then we provide the relative path of the dependency in our POM file. So the use case of this particular scope would be like when the dependency is not available on the central or the remote repository, and it is also not provided by the web or application container, then we should use this system scope. So one real life example of this scope would be, let's say we have created one utility project which contains some common tools which we want to reuse in multiple projects. So instead of copy paste that code into the multiple projects, we just directly use the jar file of the utility tool project. So here the system scope would be helpful until we put that dependency or that jar file on some remote repository. So let me show you in the IntelliJ IDE. So let's say we have created this tools.jar file which contains the some utility classes, and we want to use those classes into our some other project. Let's say in this project we want to use. So I have created one ellipse folder, and inside that I have put this tools.jar. Now inside the pom.xml file we have defined one dependency, and here we have defined the artifact ID for this tools.jar and the version of that and the group ID for this particular tools.jar file. Then we have defined the scope as system and we need to provide the system path here. So this will be the base directory which will point to this particular location, and after that libs and the tools.jar. So this is how it will access the files of this tools.jar file, and this is how we can use this system scope. Now the next thing is the transitivity. So because we have included the dependency into our code itself, so it will be available at the runtime and in the final jar or var also, so it will be transitively available. The last scope which we are going to discuss in this is the import scope. So using this scope, we can import the managed dependencies of another POM file, and the imported dependencies will be added into the dependency management section of our project's POM file. So let me show you that. So if I go to the IntelliJ, so here as you can see in the dependency management section, we have defined this particular dependency which has the scope import. So what it will do, it will import all the dependencies which are defined in the dependency management of this particular POM file, which has this group ID, artifact ID and version. So this particular POM file will have some dependencies in the dependency management section. So this will import, or this will inherit all these dependencies inside this dependencies management section. One more thing to note here, that whenever we are using this particular scope, the import, the type should be POM always. So this is how you can use this import scope, and we should use this scope when we want to standardize our dependency versions across multiple projects. So let's say we have defined the versions in one parent POM or some other POM, and we are just inheriting in multiple projects. So that's how we can keep the same versions and we can standardize the versions of those dependencies which are defined in some parent POM or some other POM. So that's all for this video. Let me know in the comments what did you learn through this video, and still if you have any doubt, let me know in the comments, and do subscribe the channel to become a skilled engineer. Keep learning, keep supporting. See you in the another video.